Welcome to the Inspiration and Innovation Hour brought to you by Inspirational by Design. I am your host, Shannon Scandoza. Thank you so much for joining me today. As a disclaimer, we are not being paid, nor are we paying others to promote products and services used in these segments. Each week, we'll highlight and discuss inspirational stories, people, and experiences within the healthcare field. I'll bring on guest speakers to talk about their work, their impact in the field or community, and their personal journeys. Later, I'll introduce the innovation or innovator of the week and host a DIY corner where I will demonstrate how to implement and utilize the newest education technology learning modalities in your classroom, clinic, or lab space. So don't scroll past or hit that button. We've got a great show for you with some incredible guest speakers and EdTech play you won't want to miss. Stay tuned after this commercial break.
Inspirational by Design and Breakaway Games Limited are partnering to bring the best in virtual clinical simulation training through live action role play and game simulator technology. Create a customized course for your classroom, clinic, or lab space. Empower your learners by setting the stage and enacting a real patient case with a live simulated patient. Continue independent practice by completing skills and knowledge challenges on the compatible case in a game simulator. And end the experience with evidence-based written and verbal feedback. Collect scores and reports to upload into your LMS grade reporting software. It's as simple as that. Need more time to play? Hop on over to the AIM Learning Lab, a free EdTech discover and play for learners. Practice with the newest in AI, AR, VR game simulators, patient communication, and so much more. What are you waiting for? Contact Inspirational by Design, and let's start planning your course today.
Welcome back. Today's inspirational topic in healthcare is related to diabetes awareness, and I'm so inspired by our special guest and her story today. Please welcome Dr. Cassie Moffitt. Cassie has over 2 decades of experience in the healthcare industry as both a pharmacy technician and a registered nurse in adult critical care, pediatric acute, and emergency care. She is also a diabetic educator, nurse researcher, and faculty. Wow, that's a lot of hats. She was inspired to enter healthcare due to her own experience as a pediatric patient living with type 1 diabetes and her transition to adult care. She's here to share her experience with us today, and we're so honored to have you here with us, Cassie. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your role in the field of healthcare?
Well, as you said, Shannon, I came to healthcare because of my own experience with type 1. I was diagnosed in 1983 when I was 17 months old. And so I grew up with it just knowing nothing different. And many of my family members have type 2. So I entered the healthcare field with the goal of becoming a diabetes educator, which I do have that title now as a certified diabetes care and education specialist. You mentioned my pathway through healthcare, and I can't believe I forgot to mention that I was a school nurse for almost 10 years, which was such a memorable and honoring experience. Um, and now I'm nurse faculty for an undergraduate program in Texas and starting my journey as a nurse researcher.
That is truly incredible and how inspiring, my gosh. That's wonderful though. You've gone the whole tangent, right? You've been able to go and learn along the way as a patient, as a nursing student, as a faculty member, and as a student, as a nurse, as an advocate now and as a researcher. So I love the pay it forward model of clinical simulation and instruction and imparting that knowledge, wisdom onto our nursing students. That's truly amazing, the work that you're doing. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you're driving impact or change in your community?
I'd like to think that I'm driving change in my faculty role by helping grow the new generation of healthcare professionals that are going to take care of people like myself and a lot of people that I care about, and especially with the chronic condition that is now considered an epidemic. Um, Also, I work at different summer camps each summer. One of them is the camp that I went to as a kid, and I love getting to go back there every year and not only work with the kids with diabetes, but also see my friends, work with a good mentor and friend who I've known for over 30 years, but also more so working with the kids and hearing their success stories, seeing their wins and victories, and being able to role model that diabetes is something that you do, not the person that you are, and that you can grow up and do whatever you want to do and be successful even if you're living with diabetes.
Oh, wow, that is incredible. And that's all we can ever hope for, right? It's about working together as a community, making sure everyone has the ability to grow up, right? And live free. Because that's what you're talking about. With type 1 diabetes, you don't have that freedom, right? It comes with that tag, with that stigma and everything attached to it. So it's finding your voice, and finding that lane and learning how to navigate it so that you can be on par with everybody else, and it's making everybody feel that way, right? So with type 1 diabetes, you don't get a choice, right? So in saying that, can you tell our audience a little bit more about the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes?
Yeah, thanks for that question because I get a lot of that all the time, the stigma, especially when people say you don't look diabetic. And that's really frustrating to me because type 2, the most common type, it is often associated with overweight and obesity. However, that doesn't have to be the case. It's typically more the body, for whatever reason, has decided that it can't use the insulin that it has. So it may not be able to metabolize carbohydrates or the body's fuel the way it's supposed to, which is what leads to the high blood sugar. Um, there may be a genetic component. I've found that, often in many families, there's more than one person with type 2. That's true in my family, but uh, that doesn't have to be the case. It's typically slower in onset as well. So many times, patients have already had type 2 for about 5 or 10 years before they actually know, which is why we see a lot of the complications that we do, particularly in type 2. Type 1 is usually more quick in onset. Um, it's typically autoimmune, which means that patients with type 1, their body has rejected the islet cells or the cells that make insulin. And so when the body tries to produce insulin, the immune system kicks in and kills those cells off. And so that's why the signs and symptoms are often much more rapid in their onset. Um, and those patients have to have insulin injected. So, whereas patients with type 2 might be able to take some kind of oral medication, patients with type 1 will have to have either insulin injections through multiple daily injections or an insulin pump.
Wow, thank you so much for clarifying the differences and sharing the differences, between type 1 and type 2. I know that was something I always kind of struggled with myself, and that truly makes sense. I know as somebody who struggled with type 2 diabetes myself, and when you brought up the genetic factor, I started thinking back. My mother was also type 2, my grandfather was also type 2, and they also came on, and introduced much later in life. And I believe it was honestly, it was a comorbidity. So we didn't find out because, and for my audience at home, comorbidity just means more than one thing. You've got more than one thing going on. So, but it was always like if there was like a thyroid issue, right? They share a lot of the same symptoms. So it went misdiagnosed or undiagnosed for a while. And I know for myself as well, having had certain surgeries in the past, it's actually changed my trajectory from type 2 to now I'm severely hypoglycemic. So So now instead of having to watch my numbers into the 5, 6, 7, 800 range, I'm having to make sure I don't drop below 40 and
Oh,
go into a
wow.
coma. So I get the panic, right? And the uncertainty of what's going on with you, especially when you're working with your provider, and you're on that crazy sliding scale, right? So I know for sure that we can, without a doubt, say type one is, like you said, it is genetic. It's something that requires immediate need. You usually can, you know, identify it early enough, so that you can get the help that you need. But in saying all this, I'm curious a little bit. Can you share maybe some tips or tricks on, with the audience on that would help them not only understand these differences between the diabetes, but how do you recognize the symptoms in somebody else?
Yeah, so you brought up a point with the last question that I want to mention here, and it's that type 1 or type 2 can happen at any age. It used to be that, kids were diagnosed with type 1, adults with type 2. And we're seeing a lot of cross-pollination, for lack of a better word. We're seeing it on all sides or all uh, spots on the age spectrum. But again, type 1 is typically more rapid in its onset of symptoms. And so, with either type of diabetes, you might see increased urine, increased thirst, increased hunger. And the reason for that is, like I said, the key here is insulin, which is what you need to metabolize the body's fuel. And if the insulin isn't there, the cells can't get fed. And the body is going to it can't work with too much fuel at one time. So that's where you start, urinating because you pee it off at a certain point. It goes into the blood. That's how your blood sugar becomes high. Um, you're hungry because your cells are not getting fed. And then when you're losing urine like that and you're not getting your fuel, it makes you thirsty. So you might see those with both types. Again, with type 1, though, it's often much more rapid in onset. You generally see weight loss, and it can go, it can run the spectrum. I've seen kids that it's barely noticeable. When I was diagnosed, I went from 24 to 14 pounds in about a week or two. So, some people kind of welcome that because you can also be overweight and be type 1. And so they think the weight loss is a good thing. And then we find out not necessarily. Now, again, with type 1, something that we often see, especially in kids, is bedwetting. Maybe they hadn't been doing that for a while, but when you're having to get rid of that much glucose, it can happen at any time of the day. And so, another thing to be on the lookout for is, are you getting up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom? And if so, how many times? Um, so that's a good one to look at. Thirst is kind of hard even in Texas because it's so hot here all the time. And so, people are drinking water and then they think, oh, I'm going to the bathroom because I'm drinking water. Um, but that's also something to look for. Things are getting pretty bad when they start throwing up, and complain of a severe headache that's not going away. Those are signs of an emergency called diabetic ketoacidosis, and that can lead to significant problems and even death. So, also, you may smell like a fruity, it may smell like nail polish remover, the acetone, or it may smell like real sweet and fruity, like tree sap. Their breath does. Um, with type 2, now those signs and symptoms are much slower in onset, which is why many people have had it for a long time and don't know. But still, the three P's, the hunger, thirst, urine, those things are definitely things to be mindful of, especially if they're having to get up more in the middle of the night. Blurred vision is a big one. especially, if it's never been a problem before. You see a lot of numbness in the or tingling in the hands and feet. So that's something to be mindful of. And really, and I say this with some urgency, get your yearly physicals because many patients don't find out they have type 2 until their first big event. And that may be, a hypoglycemic episode or something as serious as stroke or heart attack. And many patients with type 2 do have high blood pressure. So please get your yearly physicals and keep on top of your numbers, your blood pressure, your cholesterol. People with diabetes are at high risk for heart cardiac events, and especially if there's a family history.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. That was a wealth of knowledge and information. And honestly, I think the main part is that people know what to look for, right? Because symptoms are all often sometimes masked by something else or in conjunction with something else. So again, it's always hard to narrow down what's really going on. But at least now the audience can understand what we should be looking for and when to see a provider. Because honestly, it's important that tests are done and that we take care of ourselves as early as possible. This is not something that will just go away on its own, you guys. It's something that requires care, it requires consistency and providers to help guide us and to provide this education that we're getting today. And since this is the beginning of Diabetes Awareness Month, is there a message that you would wish to convey to the audience or something you want them to take away from this experience today?
The biggest message I want to send is that there's no point in placing blame. I see this a lot in all patients, type 1, type 2, gestational, all of it. People will say, well, you did this to yourself, or you should have eaten less sugar, or you should have lost weight. And maybe that's true. I don't know, depending on the person. But there's lifestyle choices we could all make. And at this point, placing blame is not only not going to do anything, but it's also going to cause patients to shut down. Because if you did this to yourself, then, there's a lot of guilt and shame that goes with that. So I would say stop placing blame. And I would follow that up with, it's what you do next that matters. So now you have this news and you know what the problem is, and everything in diabetes is fixable. We can do lifestyle modifications, we can do medication, um, we can do medication or, food for low blood sugar. So, just we know what the problem is. Now we just need to work on it to try to get those blood sugars in target to prevent those complications. It doesn't have to be a death sentence. And so, I know that's probably longer than what you were looking for, but I guess my big message is there's no point in placing blame, and it's what you do next that matters, and everything is fixable.
Oh, wow, that was so powerful. I really did. I felt that resonate with me so much. It's all about those actionable items, right? It's about doing something, it's about empowering ourselves, it's about not placing the blame, it's about being able to just be me and know this is just a part of my life. It's not who I am, right? It's about doing this for not only ourselves, but for others, right? To be able to help them, to inform them, and to help them to be able to be their own advocates as well. So, I want to thank you so much for that beautiful perspective and the education on how to be aware, how to track our symptoms, and what we need to do next. So, in saying that, what is the best way for the audience to get a hold of you?
So you can click on the QR code provided here, and that has my phone number and my email. Email is probably the best way to get in touch with me. So that information will be provided, but I'm happy to help however I can.
Thank you so much. You heard her, folks. Her information is on the screen. Please be sure to click on the code and go check her out. Also, please make sure that you reach out to people in your own area as well. As much as we would love to flood Cassie for all of the information that we need, she is only in Texas. So if we're needing stuff specific to our region or we're needing information or resources in our area, please make sure we're reaching out locally. If we can't, absolutely reach out. I'm sure she can put you in touch with the perfect person to help with your situation. I've got one more question for you, and then we'll get you out of here. Can you tell me who inspires you and why?
So I know it'll be a cliche answer, but I have to say my mother, Betty, because she worked so hard to get me to the point of adulthood. And she was a single parent and found out that her toddler had this lifelong, expensive, potentially deadly condition. And she did everything she could to make sure that I had what I needed, but also that I could live as normal of a childhood as possible. And she really drove the need for education, and that nobody can ever take that away from you, right? And she always said that, diabetes is the person or the thing that you do, not the person that you are. And while this really stinks, you need to take this and go do something with it. And she has always believed in me and been the cheerleader that sometimes I didn't know I had. And I just don't have enough words or actions to thank her enough for that.
Oh my God, that's truly beautiful. I love that. And I love moms. And I 100% agree with you that they are their own special, their own kind of special, right? They put themselves, behind their children and their children first, not only in their lives, but in their health. Like you said, this is, you had a single mother who had to make choices and she had the things that she had to do, for her children. So for every mother out there and for everybody who's navigating this space of situational awareness and what's happening with diabetes, thank you so much for coming on today and telling us about the wonderful resources, the education, sharing your story with us. That's amazing. I really appreciate the authenticity because people need to know we're still people, right? Outside of all the afflictions, outside of our titles, outside of the things we do, we're everyday people with everyday problems. And it's beautiful to have this community where we can tap into and get that experience from everybody. So I just want to say again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I want to share with the audience. Cassie bears a special place in my heart. Her and I go way, way, way back. And it's her teaching and her interaction with her students that has always been a truly inspiring to me. And I'm so thankful for having you here today. All right, folks, make sure you check out Cassie's website and her email address. Up next, we're going to get prepared for the Innovator of the Week in our DIY corner. You won't want to miss it. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the AIM Faculty Lab. The AIM Faculty Lab for Universities and Healthcare Systems offers a vendor marketplace and discovery zone for a more cost-effective and efficient way to play with and learn about the newest in education technology for your classroom, clinic, lab, or simulation space. This site is live but under construction. Refresh your screen to see updates. First, explore the discovery zone and learn about different EdTech modalities for e-learning and professional growth. Practice with AI, patient communication, game simulators, AR, VR, and more. Discover innovative ways to bring this new tech into your curriculum. Explore the vendor marketplace for 24/7 access to simulation technology vendors, free trials, and coupon codes. Play with the Virtual Escape Room course demo and explore customizable Virtual Escape Room course solutions for your class. Need a break from OSCE prep? The virtual simulation experience is exactly what you need. Explore standard and customizable patient case practice for your class. Play Interprofessional Jeopardy and explore virtual interprofessional education opportunities for your students at the AIM IP Academy. Feeling creative? Build your own patient interview chatbots and web app simulators,
or create your own AI prompts and instructional videos, and more on the DIY resources page. And yes, this site is absolutely free. Some products are available for an additional cost. Use the AIM Faculty Lab and AIM Learning Lab together to create the ultimate EdTech exploration and innovation classroom sessions. Ready to get started? Or not sure what you need? Contact Inspirational by Design and schedule your free 15-minute consultation today.
And welcome back to the Inspiration and Innovation Hour, brought to you by Inspirational by Design. I am your host, Shannon Scandoza. Thank you so much for tuning in again. Our next segment, Innovation and DIY Corner, starts next. To prepare for this segment and play along using the latest in educational technology, please scan the QR code for the AIM Learning Lab if you are a student or standardized patient, or the AIM Faculty Lab if you are a faculty member, administrator, or simulation educator. As a reminder, we are not being paid, nor are we paying others to promote products and services used in these segments. Thank you for joining me today in our EdTech DIY Corner. Once you've opened one of the EdTech sites, navigate to the AI tab or Discovery Zone and scroll down to find ChatGPT and HeyGen AI. Today's innovation topic in EdTech is related to Diabetes Awareness Month. Our objective today is for you to learn how to prepare an interactive case study video and a diabetic resource map. That's an interactive diabetic resource map for the city that you live in or are visiting. And at the end of this segment, you will be able to do just that. To prepare for the patient case study video, I started with a simple prompt for ChatGPT. I asked for a comparative list describing the differences between type 1 and type 2 diabetes. It generated a nice summary displaying facts for both tracks from cause to prevention. I then asked it to generate some technological innovations and devices that are affordable and on the market today. So it generates a list of options and even includes pictures for my reference. It continues to populate key information about each device and compiles a larger list for comparison. What I liked about this in particular is that since ChatGPT knows what I do for a living, it offers simulation scenario ideas for integrating and discussing devices as part of a simulated patient interview with an IPE team. Yes, please. It even explains why this matters in my content. It goes on to clarify if I need simulation curriculum or patient information reference sheet. Well, I'll take both, please. This way, I can use the simulation material provided to prepare a great patient case study for my students and a reference video for my patients. Last, it's going to populate the CSV that I need to create the Excel spreadsheet for both of them. The simulation curriculum provides information on each device and includes objectives, cost, category, who uses it, sim scenario snips, learning objectives, teaching points, debrief, and accessibility and equity notes. It also includes the reference link for each product. Click on copy and then paste into an Excel spreadsheet. You have to make it pretty on your own, but the bones and structures are there. Next, it does the same thing for the patient reference sheet. Once inserted into the spreadsheet, the reference sheet provides device type, key features, who uses it, cost, ease of use, insurance coverage, pros and cons, patient education tips, and again, that reference link for each product. I added it as a second tab to my SIM curriculum and even added a tab for references. Once I had my device list with simulation scenarios, I wanted to flesh it out a bit for the video that we will be generating. So I went back into ChatGPT and asked it for a script for the first 5 scenarios. It graciously populated a simple script with learning objectives, the interprofessional team assigned to the case, and the learner's expected actions. Since I only have so much time for this segment, I chose to go with scenario A for this demonstration. And now I'm ready to make my video. I log into HeyGenAI and you'll see all the options on the left. Today I'm using the video agent feature currently in beta to create a video from my own prompts. For this demo, I've uploaded our patient case from scenario A, and instantly the system suggests a full script listing key professionals, target audience, background music, language, and even the avatar style. It's pretty amazing. Now, one quick note, it only allows one avatar per scene right now, but that's easy to work around with the duplicate scene feature. Once generated, I dive into editing. On the left, you'll see the script, and on the right, the video playback. I click Edit in Studio, and from here, I can modify every scene, text, visuals, even record my own voice. This version you're about to see, it's actually version 4, completely rebuilt using my creative edits and parts of the original AI draft. And voila, here's the final video, ready to share, teach, and inspire.
Understanding pump fatigue and site issues is crucial for managing type 1 diabetes. In this video, we will identify and troubleshoot infusion site failure and alarm fatigue. Watch an interprofessional support team from nursing, endocrinology, and pharmacy collaborate to address a patient's concerns about pump fatigue and site failure, and develop a coordinated plan to prevent recurrence. The scenario. This is a telehealth follow-up. Our patient is 25-year-old Alex. He was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes 10 years ago. He is currently managing his life by using the Dexcom G7. Let's watch the scenario.
Hi, Alex. Dexcom readings are high. How are you feeling today?
I'm tired. The pod stopped. I meant to change it, but I crashed out.
Can you show us where the pod is placed on your body?
It's been there for 4 days. I haven't changed it.
You mentioned alarm fatigue. What's been happening recently?
Dexcom keeps buzzing, so I turned off alerts. It's a lot to handle.
Wow, the team did a great job interviewing the patient and asking crucial questions. What they found out was that this patient is struggling with their device, and he requires regular site checks and personalized alarm management. So, what's the plan? What do they need to do next? The most important next steps would be to assess the site and check for infection or occlusion, and verify the duration. Next, they should review CGM alert customization, re-establish basal and bolus programming after pod change, and coordinate an education plan for pod rotation, rest periods, and setting realistic alert thresholds. If this does not work for their patient, they might need to check out a new device that would be better suit his needs. There are several devices on the market to help manage life with type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Let's take a look. From wearable sensors and pumps to injectable insulin pens and the newest in-app tracking technology, we put together a spreadsheet of the 10 most utilized devices on the market. We included cost, ease of use, insurance coverage, pros and cons, tips, and links to the items directly. Please be advised that we are not being paid to endorse or promote any of these devices. They are the most commonly pulled devices from the web. For our diabetic patients to be successful, the following steps must take place.
Education on pump operation is vital when addressing the emotional burden. Optimizing infusion sets and stressing consistent monitoring empowers patients.
Integrating these strategies improves patient outcomes and quality of life. The team's final recommendation was a new device. Alex was changed over to the Omnipod 5 and has been provided with the necessary education, tools, and resources to manage life with type 1 diabetes. Now, let's check in to see how he's doing.
I feel amazing. Thanks to the support team and their recommendations, I was able to change my device and get back to life in the fast lane. I have energy, freedom, and knowledge to care for myself. This has given me back my independence. Diabetes is not who I am. It's what I deal with, and I won't let it interfere with my journey.
Wow, that's fantastic. We are so glad to hear it. Living with diabetes doesn't have to be a death sentence. Getting the help you need is imperative for a long and healthy life. Contact your provider or local diabetic educator today and get back in the fast lane.
Not a bad video. The creativity and graphics are amazing, and it seems to have all the information we need, but I don't know. It kind of feels like something is missing. It feels a little like we're blaming the patient, don't you think? Well, I thought so, and I wanted to validate that feeling, so I hopped on over to my trusted AI scrubber. That would be Justice AI GPT, created by Christian Zacateco Ortiz. For all of you out there, this is a must have if you use any AI model. This is the original DIA framework that actually solved the bias problem in AI. Yes, you heard that was right, and it's the only decolonial framework I trust to give me what I need to make sure our students and faculty learn and teach without bias and while understanding cultural and traditions of our patients. So let's run our patient scenarios through Justice AI and see how they measure. Let's check it out. As you can see, I uploaded our patient scenarios into Justice AI and it immediately got to work. First, it generated a position statement. I love that because I always start by declaring where I stand. Then it broke down the colonial aspects of the case, identifying hidden biases, subtle language cues, and Euro-conventional framing. It even offered counter logic, a self-audit, and a final declaration. Incredible. For this demo, I focused on scenario A, and what came back was eye-opening. The opening line was flagged and rewritten in a decolonial script centering on patient welfare. No more assumptions of noncompliance. Justice AI even adds pauses for learner reflection, revises the debrief to explore social context and empathy, and finishes with a brilliant self-audit, highlighting the need for racial, neurodivergent, and queer inclusive perspectives. I absolutely love it. Now, I want to take a moment and break that down a little bit more for you for those who are new to decolonization. Although the term is not new, this is a way of life for the rest of the world. We're here to make change, and it starts at the foundation. So let's break it down. This review was guided by a justice-centered lens shaped by communities often left out of healthcare, like Indigenous, disabled, and Black and Brown patients. In scenario A, the patient's exhaustion is treated like a personal mistake instead of considering bigger issues like stress, racism, and overwork. That's a problem. It reflects a common bias in medicine, focusing only on individual behavior, not the real life pressures people face. A better approach would be to recognize that fatigue is often a sign of deeper challenges, not poor self-care, and build plans that reflect that truth. Based on the new script and objectives, I went back to my Hey Gen AI video and made those necessary edits. I want to be sure all of our patients are not only represented, but cared for, respected, and heard. Let's check out our new decolonized video.
Understanding pump fatigue and site issues is crucial for managing type 1 diabetes. In this video, we will identify and troubleshoot infusion site failure and alarm fatigue. Watch an interprofessional support team from nursing, endocrinology, and pharmacy collaborate to address a patient's concerns about pump fatigue and site failure, and develop a coordinated plan to prevent recurrence. The scenario. This is a telehealth follow-up. Our patient is 25-year-old Alex. He was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes 10 years ago. He is currently managing his life by using the Dexcom G7. Let's watch the scenario.
Hey Alex, I know living with this tech can be a full-time job. I saw the Dexcom's been buzzing nonstop. Do you want to talk about how it's been feeling in your body and your day?
Yeah, I'm wiped. The pod's probably failing. I didn't change it last night. I got home and just knocked out. My body gave out before I could do anything.
Thanks for naming that. If you feel okay showing us, where's the pod placed right now? We can look together, no rush.
It's been there for 4 days. It's irritated.
You mentioned the alerts were overwhelming. Can I ask how that's been impacting your sleep or focus? No pressure to fix it now, just naming what you've been carrying.
The buzzing doesn't stop, especially when I'm high. I turned it off. It's too much. I'm trying to be safe, but this tech is burning me out.
Wow, the team did an amazing job interviewing the patient and asking crucial questions without blaming the patient, and reinforcing relational care over clinical surveillance. What they found out was that this patient is struggling with his device. By affirming and validating his experience without judgment, they were able to identify that he will need regular site checks and personalized alarm management. So, what's the plan? What do they need to do next? The most important next steps would be to 1. Validate his tech trauma alerts are microaggressions on the nervous system and should be treated as such. 2. Customize alert thresholds in collaboration. 3. Discuss body autonomy in pod placement. What feels safe, private, unstigmatizing. 4. Acknowledge racialized stress, financial pressure and job fatigue as metabolic realities, not noncompliance. And 5, use community-led language like support rhythms instead of compliance tools. This makes all the difference to your patient. Pending any other issues, they might want to check out a new device that would better suit his needs. There are several devices on the market to help manage life with type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Let's take a look. From wearable sensors and pumps to injectable insulin pens and the newest in-app tracking technology, we put together a spreadsheet of the 10 most utilized devices on the market. We included cost, ease of use, insurance coverage, pros and cons, tips, and links to the items directly. Please be advised that we are not being paid to endorse or promote any of these devices. They are the most commonly pulled devices from the web. For our diabetic patients to be successful, the following steps must take place.
Education on pump operation is vital when addressing the emotional burden. Optimizing infusion sets and stressing consistent monitoring empowers patients.
Integrating these strategies improves patient outcomes and quality of life. Following this assessment, the team's final recommendation was a new device. Alex was changed over to the Omnipod 5 and has been provided with the necessary education, tools, and resources to manage life with type 1 diabetes. Now, let's check in to see how he's doing.
I feel amazing, thanks to the support team for the care I received and the respect and value I felt as their patient. They listened to me, validated my concerns, didn't blame me, and made recommendations based on what I could afford. I was able to change my device and get back to life in the fast lane. I have energy, freedom, and knowledge to care for myself. This has given me back my independence. Diabetes is not who I am, it's what I deal with, and I won't let it interfere with my journey.
Wow, that's fantastic. We are so glad to hear it. Living with diabetes doesn't have to be a death sentence. Getting the help you need is imperative for a long and healthy life. Contact your provider or local diabetic educator today and get back in the fast lane.
Oh, wow. That is so much better. Reframed, inclusive, decolonized, and it opens up pathways to deeper conversations and exploration into individual patient barriers. This is just so amazing. And there you have it, your very own AI generated patient case study and reference video. Woo, that was so much fun. All right, folks, stay tuned after this commercial break. We will continue Diabetes Awareness Week and show you how to create a live interactive diabetic resource map for your next vacation or hometown travels. You won't want to miss it.
Inspirational by Design and the Always in Motion Simulation Project believe that healthcare concerns are a universal challenge and affect us all, as a world, as a community, and on an individual level. We also believe that no two individuals are alike. Every person deserves tailored care and attention. We are dedicated to providing communicative spaces where everyone feels valued, heard, and respected, creating pathways so that everyone is treated with compassion and dignity while receiving exceptional care, and creating opportunities for patients and providers to build meaningful relationships and lasting trust. So let's get started today. Practice specialized cases embedded with cultural competencies, ethics, health equity, and value-based care. The virtual simulation experience is a 75-minute interactive and immersive experience designed to enhance and expand communication and feedback skills. For more information or to book your experience, contact us today. Let Inspirational by Design inspire you.
And welcome back to the Inspiration and Innovation Hour, brought to you by Inspirational by Design. I am your host, Shannon Scandoza. Thank you so much for coming back. This next segment is dedicated to Diabetes Awareness Month. This focuses on accessibility, and for diabetics, that's a huge challenge. I'm going to show you how to create a quick diabetic resource map using ChatGPT and powered by Google Maps. You'll also learn how to make a quick companion PDF reference guide. So let's take a look. As a former type 2 diabetic who's now extremely hypoglycemic, navigating city life can be, well, a challenge, especially when you have special health needs. That's why when I go out, I like to be fully prepared. Living in Colorado Springs, Colorado, a major tourist destination, I realized something important. A resource like this could help not just me, but every diabetic visitor exploring the city. So I opened up ChatGPT and entered my prompt, setting parameters for everything I might need on a day out. And I have to say, I love how it always tells me I'm amazing. In seconds, it populated a full list: hospitals, urgent care centers, safe disposal restrooms, and nutritional support options. Then it did something incredible. It actually downloaded my own interactive overlay map with those locations built right in. But I wanted to take it a step further. I went back to ChatGPT and added more prompts, asking for gyms, healthy restaurants, and grocery stores with diabetic friendly options. This time, it went above and beyond, adding walking trails, parks, and even accessible public bathrooms. The final result? A consolidated interactive map that brings everything together, complete with clickable points for each location. And as a bonus, it generated a PDF reference guide listing everything on the site with details so I can print it out or save it to my phone. Now I have it all: my interactive map, the printable PDF, and a Google Maps live version ready to use anytime. This tool doesn't just make my life easier, it makes the city more accessible for anyone living with or managing diabetes. Go ahead, click through the map and see what's nearby. It's honestly so awesome. Wow, that was so much fun. Thank you so much for being here with me today for Diabetes Awareness Month. I hope you're able to take away some pearls from this experience as well as some new skills. I appreciate you sharing your time with me so that I can share my innovations with you. For this activities today, ChatGPT, Justice AI, GPT, HeyGen AI, and Google Maps are definitely the DIY Corner innovations of the week. Be sure to check out the interactive diabetes resource map for Colorado Springs at the QR code provided on the screen, and check out Inspirational by Design's website for more information. Come back and visit us for next week's episode. We'll have some awe-inspiring guests joining next week that you won't want to miss. Have an inspirational day. Do you have an inspirational story or innovation in healthcare that you would like to share? If so, go onto our website under the Web Series and Podcast tab and click on the link to fill out the form.